All right, so you may recognize where we are. We're back in Philly, and we're at Ill Exotics, and we came here for something a little special. You guys probably have seen in a couple of my videos an anole that came off one of the plants, and there's been like, I thought it was a Mr. Anole, and then it turned out to be a Ms. Anole, and she came with baggage, and and my plan the whole time was not to keep the Anole, but I said to Sonder, because we're just not in a position to take care of her, I said, we should probably either one, bring her back to Florida or take her to Franco. Because I just want to give her a better life. And she's right there, if you could see her. And she's very pregnant. You can see she's quite wide. And
expecting mother.
And then here's the little package of goods that she has. I didn't even think they were going to be that big.
Yeah. Well, they're a little bit bigger than a Tic Tac.
Wow. They look like Tic Tacs, you're right. Like a little wintergreen Tic Tac.
And then a teeny tiny little gecko will hatch out in like 3 weeks.
Oh my.
Depending on when they were laid.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I read, and I don't know if this is true, she lays an egg every couple weeks?
Correct.
Wow, it takes 2 weeks to lay an egg. How many can they lay?
A ton.
Can you imagine? I mean, okay, so we're just gonna put her in the illarium. We're actually gonna do a proper episode, but we're gonna release her into the illarium today, which is exciting. Because this is gonna be much better life for her and her potential young.
Yes.
Prince Carlton.
Prince Carlton. And I even said it actually might be better than Florida because at least there's nothing like attacking them here.
Correct. No predators or anything like that. She'll get spoiled with crickets and gets to live in this.
Oh my God.
So, do you want to do the honor?
I would love to.
Yeah, let's see, probably over here.
Okay.
We can open this up. Hopefully she doesn't bolt right back out.
I know. Yay! That's just her color. That's so exciting.
Isn't that awesome?
Where are you going to put the eggs? What are you going to do with the eggs?
So I'll keep the eggs in the little container and
Okay.
incubate them until they hatch, because being from that environment to then introducing them to a super humid environment might kind of shock them.
Okay.
So it's more controlled to incubate them artificially, separately, wait for them to hatch, and then introduce.
Are anoles like popular pets for people?
So,
or are they just not that exotic?
they're not the most popular of pet because they are not something that really wants to hang out.
Yeah, they're totally, she doesn't ever, she wants nothing to do with me.
They are very flighty. So there are people that build awesome biomes that, do the live plants, but treat it more similarly to like an aquarium.
Yeah.
That'll put anoles and such in there and just watch and observe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, she didn't even care when I walked by. Like, she would just bolt, and I felt bad for her because I was like, I cannot give this lady her like proper environment, you know. And I didn't think I was going to get her back to Florida anyway. I mean, you could probably take her back to Florida if you want, but I think she looks great here.
I think she's going to be fabulous in there. Yes.
She's probably going to like lay like 20 more children.
Oh yeah.
All right, so the episode today that we thought we were doing, tell us what the Philly Flower Show is, because I wanted to share basically some of the things that they're going to be bringing at the Philly Flower Show. So yeah.
The Philly Flower Show is coming up, starts March 3rd. It's going to be at the Convention Center in Philadelphia. This year's theme is Garden Electric. It's about that electric moment you have when you have that connection with nature. So we ended up doing a little theme with disco involved. So, because it's electric. Boogie Oogie.
Are you going to have music, or are you going to wear like specific pants? And
I have a little costume action to greet everyone at the show. Many disco balls, lots of mirror stuff,
That's great.
Yeah, we were invited to be one of the major exhibitors this year. So it's an 850 square foot walkthrough exhibit. That's a full rendition of Studio 54's Disco in the Jungle.
It's going to be called Studio Exotica.
Yes.
Okay, so I probably wasn't going to come back, but now I think he's convincing me to come back for the flower show. It's actually such an easy trip. If I'm in New York, it's such an easy trip on the train.
Yeah.
So.
Quick hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it could just be like a day trip, even.
Totally.
So show us some of the specimens that you're going to like, spoil us with some of the.
Yes.
The exhibit's going to be taken over by exotic plants. So it's almost like the club got kind of sat there and then was taken over by the jungle. So we have a lot of large specimens, lots of cool plants that you typically don't see at these sizes.
Yeah, we're excited to feature a lot of things that people may not have seen at the Philly Flower Show in the past.
Yeah.
Because it's typically a lot of landscape, a lot of cut flower.
And a lot of flower.
Exactly.
You know, it's called the Philly flower. It's not the Philly foliage show.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, we're bringing the foliage.
Yeah.
This year.
So these are just a small sneak peek of some specimens that we've been growing that we're going to feature on exhibit.
Oh my God, is that
We could start with this.
Microsorum?
Yes, it is.
Woo.
So that is your blue oil fern.
Yeah.
Which is awesome to see with that
Oh.
iridescent foliage
And
and,
you can
all
actually see
the
the
spores.
spores.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there is a hitchhiker Hoya in there.
Oh,
Do you know
yeah.
what one that is? It's a cool one.
Yeah, it has a little, I can't remember.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It is Kanya kumariana.
Okay, I don't think I would have gotten
It's
that
an
one.
Indian
Yeah.
species of Hoya,
Interesting.
which is really unique.
Interesting.
So that's a really cool.
Beautiful specimen. I don't think I've
Yes.
ever seen it so, like, even when I see these when I saw these in the wild in Thailand.
So cool.
They were just like one or two little sprigs,
Mm-hmm.
you know? It's just amazing what you could actually grow, you know, when it's in cultivation.
They seem to love being restricted in a pot. You know, when they're in a pot, they just get explosive.
Yeah.
Versus being mounted. I have one mounted in the illarium that's been there for 3 years that has like 5 leaves.
Interesting. I always thought these were easy ferns to grow in the house, one of the
They are.
easiest. Yeah.
Yep.
And they're really thick and meaty.
They are.
So it's not like something that is like, oh, it's going to dry out or whatever.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's
So
gorgeous.
that's a cool one. Sticking to the fern theme, we could jump over to this guy, which is a really unique specimen relative to the common crocodile fern.
I was going to say very crocodile-esque.
Yes, but the Latin on this is Nophidium crassifolium.
Crassifolium, meaning like that kind of leaf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then similar, you can see all the sporophytes there.
So cool. It looks like those little Pez.
Yes.
Just like you were saying the eggs look like Tic Tacs. This looks like
Yes.
Pez candy.
So really cool thing. You can see all the new fiddleheads coming in.
Yeah.
Just a unique fern, you know, that I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's a crocodile fern. But
Right.
then they look closer and you're like, oh, wait a minute. No, it's something a little bit different.
It's so meaty. It's
Yes.
like when I think of crocodile ferns,
It's a
they're
thinner.
so thin. Yeah.
Correct.
And then this Hoya retusa that you're pulling. I mean, this could be a wig.
Yes, there it is. Model it, Chris. So this is a massive Hoya retusa that was grown from a good friend of ours, Brett Weiss.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he.
It looked like it was getting a lot of great, like, drenched in like top-down light or something.
Oh yes. So a little secret, we actually have a couple specimens like this.
Wow.
So we're gonna use them all mounted in the show in some dramatic effect.
How early do you have to go to actually prepare for the show?
So
Do they give you a couple days, or is it like 24 hours?
5 days.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything from scratch.
From walls to mounting
Walls
plants
to
to
plants.
dirt.
Who's going to be managing this shop?
The employees.
Okay, so you have it all covered.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have the employees that'll be running the shop, and then we called upon a bunch of our friends
Yeah.
to help us with the exhibit in terms of loading in and setting up, and then we'll be staffing, Chris and I, the booth every day for the 12 days.
Okay, and then
Stop by and say hi.
Okay, so staffing. Can you buy for coffee?
It'll be a long day.
Yeah, it would be. Except that you probably need the bathroom right next to you.
Yes.
Are you like selling anything there?
So we were invited to sell at the show this year, but
Mm-hmm.
we chose not to because we were afraid it'd be a little bit too much to chew for our
Right.
first year.
Yeah.
Because we've done small exhibits with the flower show in partnership with other exhibitors in the
Yeah.
past, but never something as grand.
Right.
So I was like, let's calm the appetite for pain this year.
The only thing I could think that could work that would be so low touch is selling gift cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you just had a square and
That's
you're
a
like
good
$50
idea.
or $100 gift card and you're just like,
Luckily, we're only about a mile away from the convention
Well, that's
center as
true,
well.
yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
once people get done their day there, hopefully they may be looking for something to do, maybe grab a bite on the avenue.
Yeah.
They can always stop by the store and, you know, continue the experience.
okay, so that is for everybody who's going to the flower show. Just so you know, you can't buy, but get prepared because they're just
Look for us.
Short jaunt away.
We'll be there with postcards, helping direct people to here
Awesome.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, what's next on the list? We're working our way down.
Pick one, Chris. Gotcha. So, of course, it is
Ooh,
the
they're
Philly Flower Show,
chunky, yeah.
so there will be flowers. We have a ton of orchids that we are flying in from growers in
These
Hawaii.
are lady slippers. Oh my gosh,
These are lady
look
slippers.
at the inside of that one.
These ones are what they call the bulldog lady slipper, as
Yeah.
opposed to like
little
the
bit more
more
delicate,
typical
yeah.
Maudie type lady slipper.
Yeah.
And orchids were Franco's first passion.
Yes, orchids were my first love before foliage. When I
Yeah.
was 14, I had probably like 600 plants in my parents' backyard that I would truck in and out seasonally to grow outside for the summertime and bring back in.
So these are all hybrids. Like
these are all
of
hybrids.
Hybrids, yeah.
Yes.
They're so meaty.
Complex
Yeah.
is what they call them. But yeah, so we will have fields of lady slippers, vandas hanging from the ceiling, different orchids mounted throughout, all featured.
I'm sure people are
amongst
going to
foliage.
request like, oh, can I get that plant to go home? I'll pay you for it. I'm sure you're
Well,
gonna
we
get
can't
some
take
nego-
anything out of the
I
exhibit,
know,
but
yeah.
post-show,
Yeah.
everything's coming back here.
Yeah. Okay,
So
great.
there will definitely be a post-flower show sale at Ill Exotics.
Nice. Okay, you hear it here first. So, Metanilla,
Yes.
right?
This
Which
is
species?
So this was formerly known as Gregory Hambalii.
Oh, that's right. It's been changed.
It's now been changed to Metania coccinea.
Mm-hmm.
Really unique species with that dark foliage and the like
Purple
pinkish
underside.
purple
Looks like it has all
underside.
these little ant,
Yeah.
sugars
So-
for ants or so.
They excrete sugar for ants, and it's actually coming into bloom or in bud there.
Oh,
It
I-
flowers on the stem.
Oh, I hope it's in bloom for
Yes.
you when the show comes.
So we'll have to kind of remove it from its pot and maybe
Yeah.
mount it. There's more buds forming here.
Nice.
That way we can display that to
Yeah.
everybody. But the sugar crystals are something unique, an adaptation that the plant has to feed ants in its native environment that in exchange offer the plant protection from any
Yes.
other pest or insect that comes along. The ants will defend it.
So brilliant.
Yeah, nature's amazing.
Houseplants did that.
Yes.
Now you know you could get your sugar cubes for your coffee in the
Yes.
morning. Yeah. you need a lot of those. You have to collect a lot of those.
Behind that is something cool.
I like that Chris is like being the Vanna White.
I love
today.
it.
What?
Look at
In this
this.
showcase.
In this showcase. Look at this.
Look at this.
So this is actually a philodendron hybrid. This is a
Ooh.
hybrid between serpens and vercosum.
Nice.
Yes.
I see like the kind of like vercosum-esque leaves and
Yep, lacks the red underside,
Yeah.
but it kind of has this chartreuse coloration going on, which definitely screams, electric in my opinion.
Yeah, it feels meaty.
Yeah.
And varicosum, I always think creeping along the
Yes.
ground. This one looks like it's can't decide. Does it want to go up or creep around?
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
Vercosum is such a delicate grower.
Yeah.
This is something that just hasn't skipped a beat since I brought it back from a grower in Florida. I think it's something that'll be cool to see in cultivation too.
Yeah.
More of these hybrids,
Yeah.
Expressing hybrid vigor and making good houseplant
Exactly,
options.
because it's really hard sometimes to have a varicosum in the house.
Oh yeah,
And
I've tried and failed.
Yeah, it's tough. So that hybrid vigor, while still getting the look of like a varicosum. I know,
Correct.
like you said, sans red, but I'm sure if they did some different hybrids,
Totally.
a hybrid might have a different
And
one
with
of the hybrids
that
might have red.
too
yeah.
is the phenotypes of hybrids are variable in a lot of plants, so through special selection you might find an individual plant that has a red back or something like that, and then
Yeah.
you can propagate from that specimen to get that trait moving along further.
This looks like a fun little ficus. Is
Yes.
this the one that they call, it starts with a T or something like that? Or
So
no?
not Taniki, this is
Yeah.
Shiveriana.
Shiveriana. Okay, yeah, that's like
Yes.
kind of the one of the moment right now.
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
hot plant right now, but everybody is seeing, teeny tiny. I actually can show you one.
Yeah, they have them in like the.
They're
like the
coming out
one
of tissue
stem kind of
culture.
thing.
So everybody's
Interesting.
seeing like the teeny tiny
Okay,
little
That's
plants.
tiny. I've seen ones that are a little lot
Yeah.
larger than that, like maybe 4-inch possibly. Yeah.
This is a little 3-inch guy.
Yeah.
But everybody's seeing these right now, but not so much of a big specimen.
Right, exactly. I mean, look at that color though. It's like
Isn't it
caramel.
cool?
The
Yeah.
new foliage.
It's an awesome ficus. I love
Yeah.
it. So I think people will be excited to see, some grown out. I'd love to see this, as like a 10-foot specimen
As a
in
big-
time.
yeah.
But they are slow as heck to grow.
Speaking of 10-foot specimens, we have a few that are 10 foot or more in this.
We do.
show coming up.
That are
Not ficus,
But-
but I was gonna bring it here this morning, but I
Yeah.
was like, this is a
Too much.
task.
too much.
We have
Yeah.
fully mature Epipremnum Cebu Blue
Oh.
with each leaf probably
with,
like this.
Funky,
Yes,
fenestration.
that's like 15 foot up a totem.
Wow. That's crazy.
So that will be on exhibit at the show. I was gonna bring it here today. I'm
well,
sorry
we
I
don't wanna-
didn't.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the show.
Totally.
I just want a little taste.
Yeah.
I want a little taste.
Next is another really cool plant.
So Cestus mirabilis,
Yes.
right? But and this loses its silver
It
as
does.
it ages, right?
When they get fully mature, the leaf morphology changes and it loses all of that silver coloration. Just another unique foliage that you
Yeah.
don't see every day.
I feel like this stays young for a long time.
It does.
Though. So
Correct.
you won't.
You can kind of
miss out.
manipulate it.
Yeah.
Where if it starts getting big and that leaf starts to change, take a top cutting
Mm-hmm.
and then let it spread out because they grow by a rhizome and runner under the soil. So you'll always have juvenile leaves as well.
Well, can you when you're taking a cutting, can you just take the little rhizome and as long as it has a little bud coming
As long as
off,
it has a node
Yeah.
or a little bud,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
that's a
beautiful
fun
specimen.
one. And then behind Sonder here is another really awesome plant.
This looks like a hybrid.
So
Some sort.
it is a little bit, spin it so he gets the gorgeous chocolate new leaf.
That is- yeah.
Yes.
That's nice.
So what this is it's kind of, we believe it to be a hybrid.
Yeah.
Many people are calling it Anthurium Queen of Hearts.
Okay.
Other people are also believe it's the species Anthurium moodianum.
Oh.
So who knows?
Yeah.
I know that it's gorgeous and I
Yeah.
love it.
I got the sense from like meeting a couple Anthurium hybridizers that like they had a specimen that they didn't really know what it was, and
Yep.
then they just said that looks like a really great specimen. Let me just
Correct.
cross it with another, and then you
Correct.
don't have good books then, and then
Correct.
you don't know quite what it is at that stage. So, but I mean the coloration. A lot of the Anthuriums, I'm getting the sense are. They're really selected for this kind of new growth
Correct.
coloration.
And what I love about it too is
Chris, you're like,
it's an easy grower. It's a plant that does good in the house. It's not finicky like a lot of
Yeah.
your velvet leaves. So it's a really cool, desirable plant that I think will also be on trend,
Yeah.
for 2023 in the houseplant world.
Well, that's super good to see. I mean, so how many of like specimens do you think you're going to have? Do you have like a tally?
We recently went on a trip to Florida to visit a lot of our friends and growers down there, like Marie and
Yeah.
Enid and Brett, and brought back a lot of our delicate specimens now. How many plants would you say we brought back?
1,000, 1,500.
Probably like ranging from like 3-inch to
Wow.
like specimen stuff. And then while we were there, we also tagged a bunch of plants at farms. We have our own truck being delivered
I was gonna
on
say,
February
truck.
24th to the convention center
Yeah.
that has probably about 5,000 plants in it.
Wow.
So like
That's
there's
crazy.
like 300 philodendron pink princess.
Oh my God.
So there's gonna be some cool stuff.
That is
Yeah.
a sight.
Fully grown in effect, though,
Yes.
is what we're trying to achieve. So the quantity,
Right.
adding some height, will really make those specimens really pop.
And I guess you said 850
Square feet.
Yep.
So that's
it's actually
like,
bigger than the store.
I was
big.
going to say, that's like a really sizable apartment. So you
Yeah.
could just imagine your whole apartment, or maybe twice your apartment, depending on how big your apartment is. filled, like to the brim, to the gills with plants.
We have a lot of great people on our team. Farmer Nick's going to be joining us.
Nick is flying in.
Brett's going to be joining us.
Brett's flying in to help.
Gunnar Montana is helping us with all of our fabrications, who's our local, our good
who
friend
did our
who did our mural.
Yeah.
Local queer artist, great designer. We have a lot of really fun things that we're going to be presenting at the show.
That's great. Well, you have to take a lot of pictures because, you know, once it's done, it's done.
Yes, yes.
Done, yup.
And I always felt like one of the things that the Philly Flower Show I wish could work on, because it's in a really cool location, but the lighting is weird there. Every time we came to film or like photograph, it's like kind of like weird lighting. So
It's
you're
that
like,
convention center lighting.
it's the convention center lighting, and I'm like, this is not conducive to plant photography.
We're working with some shade cloth to hopefully filter some of that abrasive blue white light that's coming from the convention center ceiling. So with some shade cloth, uplighting, things like
Well, you got to get uplighting for the disco balls.
Of course.
You gotta have You're not going to get the disco ball effect if that.
And what's really cool is that we're working with some friends of ours who are going to get a recording of the original DJ from Studio 54. So a recording will be looped inside of the space. That'll be an actual recording of from Studio 54, which is something that's not really released in the public.
Well,
pretty
honestly,
cool.
that's amazing. You guys have really put in a lot of love to this, and
Yes.
and you're having a lot of fun with it. Which
Yes.
is
Both
so
of our passions
fun.
combined.
I know. That's
Yes.
fantastic.
DJ dancer, he's the plant
nerd.
Our powers combined, I was like, this is just going to be magical.
Oh, it's
Yes.
perfect. I'm so glad they gave you a spot in the show, and you may have just convinced me to come back down again, even for a day. Just I feel like it's the least I could do that you took the Anole and gave her like a better life.
I can see her. Say hi.
I will
Yes.
after
You're
like.
the new babies.
Oh my
I'm sure
God,
they'll be
you're
hatched
gonna be
by then.
swimming in there. Swimming. Would you move the babies back in there?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't always like to be together though, right?
In
They're
a
kind of.
large enough space like that,
Yeah.
they'll each be able to find their own little home and whatnot. And there's a couple other rogue anoles in there running around that we found as well.
All
So
right.
where she, might find multiple husbands again.
my
And-
I see a whole new chapter opening up. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been
course.
just such a joy.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
It's always good to see you.
Yeah. Well, you got a sneak peek of what's to come at the Philly Flower Show this year. You could book your tickets at phsonline.org, and if you want a full tour of previous exhibits, you could check out my Philly Flower Show vlog back on April 2020. And if you want a full tour of Franco and Chris's store at Illexotics, then you could see that on episode 270 that we did back in April 2022 here on Plant One On Me. Now, if you want to dive deeper into houseplant care, maintenance, and more, we have a suite of online courses like Houseplant Basics, the 125 Houseplant Care Spreadsheet, and the Houseplant Masterclass, which you could find on homesteadbrooklyn.com. And guess what? We have a second channel on YouTube called Flock Finger Lakes, which covers outdoor gardening, permaculture, homesteading, the lost arts, and other cool stuff too. So check that out when you have a chance. We'll see you on both channels.